Question comes from B. Dennis. He says, Tankersley did pretty good for a surprise first start. Do you see the Finns keeping him activated from now on? Yes. The news was actually announced today that he will be the starting cornerback for the foreseeable future, which is great news. I thought he should have been activated week 1. When you think about what he accomplished in preseason and what the beat on him was coming out of Clemson, obviously we picked him in the 3rd round. A lot of people thought he was going to be more of a prospect. A lot of players that we drafted, a lot of people thought they were going to be more of prospect type players. They're going to, redshirt a year, and then they were going to get meaningful snaps in their second season. And Cordrea, really, I thought he would be definitely one of those people because his technique coming out of college was a little there was some things that he needed to clean up. Obviously, he has issues with getting his hands off of receivers down the football field, and usually that's a big red flag when you talk about young corners and their technique. Hasn't been a problem at all since he's gotten to the NFL. Obviously, people bring up that he panics when the ball's in the air. That hasn't been a problem. Obviously, a great example of that is in the Saints game when Drew Brees threw it up and he deflected it down. So Cordrea Tankersley had a tremendous preseason. He should have started week 1, either as a special team player or some kind of contributor to the football team because he was one of the better players of preseason. Good job by Chris Grier because he fits the scheme to a T. When you talk about what the Dolphins want to do with their corners, he's big, he's long, he's physical, he's a great man coverage corner, so that gives our pass rush time to get to the quarterback. So he's everything that we would want in a corner, and he's shown that throughout his career so far here in Miami. When you talk about his performance against the Saints, it was a tremendous performance. Obviously, when they recognized that Cordrea was going to start the Saints, they targeted him a bunch. They were trying to pick on the rookie. And Sean Payton definitely gave him a lot of different looks, a lot of motions. There was only one play where he really failed at that, and that was a false start on the defense, where he just kind of let the receiver run across the formation. But that was a rookie mistake. But other than that, Cordrea had a really nice game for a rookie corner starting in his first game. And his first game was starting in technically week 3 of our season, but it's really week 4 of the NFL season. Just being thrown in the fire, where everybody else is getting into that mid-season form. They're not quite yet there, but it's better than facing an offense week 1. It's harder to face one in the middle or week 4 of an NFL season, so that they've already played 4 games, especially since Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks to ever live, for God's sake. So Cordrea did a tremendous job against a high-powered, high-octane offense that was on a roll. So they just beat up on they didn't beat up, but they scored a bunch of points on a Panthers team that is very good. Obviously, they won in New England, and their defense did a pretty good job there too. They gave up 30 points, but their defense did pretty good, and their defense is one of the best in the NFL right now in terms of rankings. So, I think our defense and Cordrea being on this defense makes it a better defense. I think the fact that now Matt Burke is playing a little bit more man press is a great thing. And I hope he continues to do that to really get the best out of Cordrea and get the best out of Xavier. I'm really excited to see what he can do for the rest of the year because I think he's going to be very, very good. I think he's going to have a good season from here on out. He's going to surprise a lot of people. This question comes from the gamer12345. He says, "Is it time to start Matt Moore?" No, it is not time to start Matt Moore. It's easy to blame the quarterback for everything because they have the ball in their hands more than anybody. But when you look at what the Dolphins are struggling with, it's just executing certain plays. The offensive line obviously isn't playing at their best at this point in time. I think some things need to be taken out of the game plan in terms of, play calling. And I think teams, when you talk about the Saints and the Jets, I think they're just game planning. Their game plans for us have been tremendous, and we really haven't adapted to those things. Give defenses different looks and switch it up a little bit. I think we're way too predictable in the formations that we line up in. I mean, it's either going to be one or two things every single time. I think screens need to be totally taken out of the game plan. It's just bad. I mean, screens have always been a huge part of Adam Gase's offense. But our personnel on this particular football team have not been able to execute these screens since he's gotten here. We didn't execute them in 2016, and we're not executing them in 2017. So I think Adam needs to recognize that. Either tone it down or just don't call them at all because it's pretty bad when we try to run a screen. And I think we need to be more aggressive. I think we have too much talent on this football team to not press the secondary and give the secondary something to worry about. You look at the Chargers and how they run their offense. I'm not saying we need to, copy people or anything like that, but, they run a lot of deep crossing routes with, some of the better route runners they have on the football team with Tyrell Williams and Keenan Allen and stuff of that nature. That really presses the secondary. And that can cause confusion on the back end a lot of the time, and it can expose a bad secondary. When you're running 2 to 3 yard plays on a consistent basis to your receivers, and you're really hoping that your receivers in either the blocking on the play or that particular receiver makes a play on the open field and gets loose, then you're obviously not going to have as much success if you're just trying to push the football down the field. And I think it's just not working for us at this point in time. And I think the running plays have been super predictable. There's no threat of a pass anytime we line up under center. So it's pretty predictable. So I think the offense is just way too predictable at this point. I think we need to take shots downfield, I think we just need to push the ball down the field more. Run routes that are deeper. And I know that sounds simple and sounds kind of stupid, but it is what it is. I mean, we need to utilize Jay Cutler's ability a little bit more than we have. I think we need to let him cut it loose a little bit more. Just be aggressive. Run some deep crossing routes. Run some comeback routes deep down the football field. Throw some back shoulder fades to Devontae Parker earlier in the game to really, lighten the box for Jay Ajayi. Again, when you look at what the Saints did on defense, with their linebackers just shooting the gaps, having no regard for our passing game, because of how predictable we are when we line up under center. If we gave them a play-action pass there or something, they would have been caught in that, and that would have been a big play. So we need to make defenses respect our passing game more. I think we need to throw it down the football field earlier on. I think we need to take advantage of some of the talent that we have on the boundary and really push it down the football field. That'll lead to softer coverage with the corners. That'll lead to lightening the box for Jay Ajayi. And I think we also need, for our personnel groupings, there needs to be more variety. I want to see Jay Ajayi and Kenny Drake lined up in the backfield at the same time. I want to see Jakeem Grant come in for a motion and run a wheel route out of the backfield or something like that. I want Jakeem Grant to be more involved in this offense. He's a dynamic playmaker. Same thing with Kenyon Drake and Leonte Carew. I want to see these players get more playing time. Give them different looks on defense and stop giving them more of the same dang thing. We have the same game plan for the first 3 games of the season, and we played 3 totally different football teams. Now, if that doesn't sound crazy, I don't know what does. So, that we just need more variety in our personnel groupings. We need to be less predictable, and I think we need to be more aggressive with our game plan. And again, like I said, when they play softer coverage like that, throw a screen out there. Hopefully we execute it right. But when they're playing press coverage on the outside, it's harder to screen a football. They just don't respect anything we're doing in the passing game right now. So we just need to have more variety, and I think all of those things will help Jay Cutler out. And like I said, I think those are some of the things that are wrong with the offense. This question comes from T-Zone. He says, I think Cutler is way over his prime, even though he's always been mediocre. Nothing more. I think Gase needs to bench him and let Matt Moore be Matt Moore. We know what he can do. What do you think? No, I do not think Matt Moore needs to start. I think Matt Moore had a terrible preseason. It really made me wonder why in the world we're paying him so much money. David Fells completely outplayed the man, and they both were playing relatively the same competition. Matt Moore could not move the ball on 1s and 2s or 2s and 3s. That Eagles game that he had, where obviously Jay Cutler took all the snaps against the 1s, and then Matt Moore came in and just did terrible. He threw a pick, first and goal, that was one of the worst passes I've ever seen him throw. He was staring down receivers, which has been his biggest problem since he's been in the NFL. Matt Moore does not have the athleticism that Jay Cutler does, so you think that Jay Cutler is getting hit right now, wait till you see Matt Moore. So I don't think Matt Moore needs to start at all. If you think what Matt Moore did, the last few games of last year, obviously he had a great game against a bad Jets defense. You want to talk about pushing the football down the field, that's a perfect example of our offense, stretching the field. He had a great game against the Jets, had an okay game against the Bills. He made some stupid mistakes that really, almost cost us the game, throwing a pick before half and stuff of that nature. But, he played a pretty good game. He did not play a good game against the Patriots. He had way too many first half turnovers that got us in a hole early on. And against the Steelers, he played a terrible game, turning the ball over in the red zone multiple times, and just had a lot of turnovers. So I don't think Matt Moore needs to start. I think if anything, you're gonna get more of the same. You get more of the same, or it's gonna be way worse because Matt Moore is not the quarterback that Jay Cutler is. People have this love affair with Matt Moore, and I understand it. I mean, he had a good season with us when he won MVP in the 2011 season. We went on that hot streak. He did a great job of coming in for Tannehill the last few games of the season, but he's not better than Tannehill, and he's definitely not better. He's not better than Tannehill, and he's not better than Jay Cutler. He just isn't. So that's why I don't think he needs to start at all. And it is when you look at this offense right now, it has a lot to do with a lot of other things than it does just the quarterback. Yeah, the quarterback hasn't helped anything at this point in time. There's been moments where you scratch your head, but it's not all on him. You put any quarterback in there right now, unless it's Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that who is, or Russell Wilson who has great playmaking ability. And then I think this offense would struggle with the play calling and, some of the things that are happening right now. So it's not just the quarterback, and I don't think Matt Moore needs to start. I think people, when they see something going wrong, they immediately want something to change. And sometimes change is a little bit more subtle than just switching a player out. So we'll see. I don't think Matt Moore needs to start, though. This question comes from Axel. He says, Skags1383, do you think the Dolphins should get an offensive coordinator because Adam Gase is a good coach, but his play calling is questionable? No, I don't think that at all. It's easy to forget what somebody has done when, obviously everybody, especially fans in the NFL in general, is what have you done for me lately? But what the man did last year, the man should have won Coach of the Year. It was an absolute ridiculous thing that Jason Garrett won it, but he should have won it. Turning this franchise around, establishing a new culture in the locker room, the things that he did with the limited amount of talent that he had on defense and offense is tremendous. When you think about what we went through as an offensive line, it's a miracle that he established an identity to the offense that this offense hasn't seen. Tannehill had 4 game-winning drives. It was a great year. What Adam Gase did to really transform the mindset of the players, rejuvenate Tannehill. I think no other player on that roster needed it more. And really just changing the culture in general. So I don't think, and obviously that, what he was able to do from a play calling standpoint was also tremendous. So, really allowing Tannehill to do the things that he did in terms of audibling at the line, just things that he did last year, and from a personnel standpoint and a play calling standpoint, it was great, and that's really what allowed us to go 10-6 last year. So I think Adam what he thought, or what the front office or the coaching staff thought is, we're gonna do more of the same that we did last year, and really because we're so talented, people just can't stop us. And I think that's just not a great way of going about it. What I'm trying to say is he's trying to stick with the formula that worked for us last year, and teams are just game planning for us now. They've figured out a way of the best way to defend that, and they've done a great job. I mean, Todd Bowles really set the blueprint for what the Saints did, and the Saints did what they did, and the way defenses are game planning for us have worked, and they've adapted to the way our offense plays. So we need to adapt like that. We need to be more, again, it's the same thing I've been saying. It's just we're too predictable, and what that means is we're just running the same thing because it worked for us last year. It's not working anymore. Whether that means we need to go more no huddle, we need to spread the football a little bit more out. We need to line up and empty more. I don't know what it is, but we just need to adapt to what people are doing to us, and we haven't done that yet. So as soon as we do that, and I'm sure, hopefully Adam will do that, and I'm sure he will. He's one of the smartest people in the NFL. He's a great head coach. He'll figure it out. I have a complete 100% faith in him. So no, I don't think we need to go out and get a new or let Clyde Christensen call the plays. Question comes from Ira, I think is how you pronounce your name. I don't know how exactly to pronounce that name. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. But the question comes from Ira. He says, I think we should move Charles Harris to linebacker and Hayes inside at DT. What are your thoughts on that idea? No, I think William Hayes is doing a tremendous job at setting the edge. I don't think the defense... No, you don't need to change the defense at all. I think what we did last week is what we need to do for the rest of the year. To only allow 3 points to a Saints offense in a half that is loaded with talent and that, averages upwards over almost 30 points a game. Almost, they average like just over 24 points a game. Is tremendous. Nobody in this, if you would have told any head coach in the NFL, you're going to only allow 3 points to the Saints in the first half, and get this, you're only going to allow 13 points to them in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left to go. Against the how bad their defense is, you would cry. A head coach would cry, because you cannot ask for a better start than that. The defense is not the dang problem. It's the offense. The offense is atrocious right now. I think we're dead last in just about every category right now. Here's something else I want to say. We're through the first 3 games of the season. We have 2 losses. If we win at Tennessee, we're 2-2. There are a lot of good football teams with that many losses in the NFL right now. And I think it's way too early to cast judgment on anything right now. If you guys literally saw a team last year go 1-4, which is way worse than the situation we're in right now, and that team looked way worse. We couldn't stop anybody on defense. We couldn't stop the run. There was no bright spots on either side of the football. Nobody expected that team to go to the playoffs. I mean, nobody did, and we went. I'm not comparing this team to that team because this team is way more talented than that team. It's just way too early to just hit the panic button, in my opinion. And I think everybody needs just to chill out. So, not only that, but the defense again is not the problem. And it really pains me because going into this season, I thought, I think everybody thought this. The offense is going to be very, very, very good. And the defense is the one that's going to be kind of lagging behind of the offense. That has been literally the opposite. It's been the defense that's been the strongest positional or the strongest side of the football. And it's been the offense that's hurting the defense. It's not been the other way around, which has completely surprised me. So if the offense acted half competent the first 3 games of our season, do you know the game? We would have won both. We would be 3-0 right now. But our offense has been anemic, to say the least. So they need to pick it up. The defense is fine. I think Matt Berg needs to continue what he's doing with how he's calling the game on defense in terms of what he did in the Saints game. So, and I'm so happy that he recognized what he recognized. Maybe it had a lot more to do with Lawrence Timmons coming back. I have no idea. Has nothing to do with the defense. It's all on the offense. That's it, guys. That's been your Miami Dolphins fan Q&A for this week. I think we only answered 5 questions, which is obviously, it's not good. That's not good enough, but there weren't a ton of questions, and most of the questions were mostly very similar. Obviously, a lot of people are upset about the offense. I felt like I answered those questions already. So I'm going to answer most of these in the or all of them in the podcast this upcoming week, which makes the podcast better. So if you guys want to continue to answer or ask questions down in the comment section below, please do so. It helps out the content on this channel, and obviously it helps grow the channel, and it helps grow the community on this channel, which is the most important thing. So I am Skagster1083, and I promise you guys this is not going to be this. I am very hopeful that this offense is going to get back on track, because as soon as it does, the way the defense is playing, we're going to win a lot of football games. So I am Skagster1083, and I'll see you guys in the next one.